Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday night. It's Tough Love Tuesday with your personal journey with food. And I'm Tracy Cromwell, your integrative nutrition health coach. And what is a health coach? What is an integrative nutrition health coach? You would think that a health coach would be looking at mainly what you eat and how you exercise. But as an integrative coach, I look at home cooking, home environment, your career, your finances, joy, your relationships, creativity, oh my goodness, social life, all of those things, because all of those things make you. And on these live broadcasts, my goal is to bring you incredible professionals in all areas that can help you create a wonderful life for you. And so tonight I am very excited to bring to you Maureen Cures. Maureen, hello. How are you?
Tracy, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm great. It's great to have you here. And I do want to make a quick note for those listening on the podcast, because this will be converted to a podcast. We do record live, so anything can happen. And that makes it a lot of fun. So anyway, we're here live. So I've known Maureen, gosh,
5 years, 4 or 5 years,
6 years, something like that. And it's just been so great to know you. And some of you watching may not know who Maureen is. So, after 35 years as a registered nurse, Maureen is no stranger to end-of-life issues. She has seen firsthand the devastation that can occur when families don't have potentially difficult decisions with family members made, and some discussions that they could have helped everyone weather the loss of the loved one in a more peaceful manner. And not about it, I can't even talk tonight.
You're not alone.
I'm going to try this. I can talk. No doubt about it. I can talk. So sorry, Maureen. End of life conversations are the elephant in your family room and can be challenging. Maureen's strength lies in her ability to help families calmly approach topics that are difficult to discuss. Her expertise in reducing the trauma and the stress and the chaos that can happen to individuals as they get affairs in order, and also help their families get into alignment. Maureen created Radiant Morning to be an advocate for end-of-life planning. So today, families hire Maureen to protect and empower them through facilitated discussions, planning, and preparing for end-of-life transitions. Her uncommon advocacy provides safety, clarity, hope, and guidance to her clients. And so, again, I love having you here because, again, as a health coach, it's a discussion that we all need to have, is, what's going to happen as we get near the end of our lives, and how can we make it, I always think, I would love it to be a loving and open and non-stressful experience for me and my family. So, tell us about you and how you got into this and how we can make it a great experience.
Well, Tracy, you had mentioned I've been a nurse for 37 years. It was in February.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies by. But my first job was as an oncology nurse. And I thought, ooh, yuck, I don't want to work oncology. But it was the only job I could get at the time when I graduated. And so I thought I'd get my year's experience and get out as fast as I could. I had other plans of what I wanted to do. But I found that I fell in love with it. Death wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. My family didn't talk about it. So I had experienced the death of a grandfather, but we really didn't talk about it a lot. And I fell in love with the patients. I fell in love with their families, and I fell in love with the peace that can come at the end of life when people share their wishes or talk about it. And that's what started me down, I guess, this journey all those years ago. But I've been an advocate for planning for 30 years, to get your healthcare documents in order, to have someone that can legally speak for you, because I was also an ICU nurse, and seeing people placed on ventilators that never should have been, or not taken off because the family couldn't agree. We had a woman that was declared brain dead, but 62, and her kids fought. And she wasn't married, so her kids were her next of kin, and they all had to agree for her to be taken off that ventilator. And that's when I became a passionate advocate about
Mhm.
having someone that can legally speak on your behalf, if you become unable to do so. But then
Mhm.
fast forward a couple years ago through a random conversation on, post on Facebook and me commenting, and I've ended up going down this journey of helping people see the need to do this while we're well and while we're active and we can make decisions that we want. And I just have stepped into this in the last couple of years, and it's
Wow.
just become a journey.
And I think about it, we hear all the time that we need to get things in order, but it can just seem really daunting and scary. And you know, my main experience with someone passing was my sister Shirley. She passed from ovarian cancer about 11 years ago, and I was given the incredible opportunity to be there with her the last couple days. But I realized just how much I didn't know. I didn't know all that she'd put together and what she had to do, and then also, the aspect of stress on her boys, and so what she did have in place really, I believe, helped them immensely. And she had those conversations with them, helped them immensely through that process. So,
Well, none of us want to think that we're going to die young of ovarian cancer. And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming she was pretty young if it was 11 years ago. And the one thing about cancer, it gives us time to have these conversations
Mhm,
and to take care of things and say things that need to be said.
mhm.
It's the unexpected that takes
Yeah.
away that time. I think with COVID, we're all seeing that. As what is it? 520 some odd thousand people have died since this time last year of COVID.
Yeah.
And most of those people never dreamed that they would die in the past
Mhm.
year. And conversations weren't had, or people, you know, died unexpectedly, and
Yeah.
families were left in limbo
Mhm.
and chaos because either their families were dying alone in the hospitals, and they couldn't see them because of COVID, which is just heartbreaking to me. But
Mhm.
the more we can talk about it now and plan, the better prepared we are. And then we get to write our own script, if you will. We get to write
Right.
the story.
Yeah, so what have you seen people do? I mean, I was trying to think, what would I like? And like I've had my kids sign up for your Facebook group and I messaged them and I said, "Hey, I want to get all this taken care of, and no matter what day I am called, know I love you and I don't want you to be really sad, and I'd probably have to have an 80s dance party or something, I just like, can it be, yeah, I mean, I know, I just trying to think of, yeah, if I could write it and create an experience, just thinking about something
Oh,
festive as that, you know what I mean? To
oh,
write my own, you know, hopes. But, how do you suggest people start down the path of talking or breaking how do you help them bridge the conversation?
I do have a prompt. It's 7 prompts to get the conversation started. It's called "Just Speaking of Dying Scary to Death: 7 Prompts to Get the Conversation Started." So I'll give you the link to that. It's
Okay.
startthetalknow.com. You can download that free giveaway, but it's as easy and as difficult because, like I said, we don't talk about this in our society, our culture.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, but we have the perfect opening right now. As I was saying, COVID, we just have been talking
mhm,
about COVID. Gosh, if this happened to you, what would you want? Because I think a year into this, there's probably very few people on the planet that don't know
mhm,
someone that's been affected by COVID or someone that's died of COVID.
mhm,
Just ask, if this happened to you, what would you want? Um, how would you want to be cared for? Would you want
mhm,
us to go full bore trying to save you? Or would you not? I had to have this
mhm.
conversation with my mom. She does not like to talk about death, and she's 84 and she was diagnosed with COVID back in November. And I'm her healthcare agent. So I said, Mom, I have an idea of what you would want, but we don't really talk about this a lot because she just doesn't want to. So I said, I'm going to ask you some questions and then I'm going to call you back in an hour. If this happens, I said, you were just diagnosed late last night, but by
Yeah.
5 o'clock tonight, you might be gasping for breath and unable to breathe.
Mhm.
So we need a game plan. So if this happens, I gave her some different scenarios and I said, I'm going to call you back in an hour and talk to you. So we got a game plan in place and luckily she never needed it. But
Mhm.
if she does, COVID's a great place to start. Or if you hear of a famous person that has recently died, our Uncle John, who died of a car accident,
Mhm.
that's what we don't expect. We don't expect the tragic accidents that leave us unable to make our own decisions,
Yeah.
or the heart attack that happens suddenly where we're unable to
Right.
make our own decisions. So if you can bring that into play, Uncle John had that heart attack and ended up in the hospital, unable to, let people know what he wanted. If that happened to you, what would you want in that scenario?
Okay.
So try to bring
Mhm.
something familiar in.
Mhm. Make it relative and, yeah, yeah,
Because then if they can relate to it, they're more likely to say, yeah, this is what I would or wouldn't want. And then
yeah.
that just opens the door to the conversation to say, how can we honor you if we don't know what your wishes are?
I like that, how can we honor you? I want to honor you, I want to do what you would like, and then also giving the person a moment to step back and really think about that because it's true. We don't necessarily think about it, and again, experiencing, um, you know, um, my ex passed away a year ago, and it was a little bit chaotic because a lot wasn't planned. So it put pressure on my kids, and so being able to have that conversation with them, I think, is going to be really important. And with my whole family. So so you have that. I did put in the comments, the startthetalk.com with your 17.
StartTheTalkNow.com.
Oh dear, start the talk now. I got to edit this
Now.com.
one. Oops. All right. Oops, that's the wrong one.
Yeah, there's so much we can.
Startthetalknow.com.
That's it.
Okay.
There's so much that we can plan, and it doesn't have to be scary. Although, uh, let's face it, it's hard to wrap our heads around preparing for our own end of life. Let's
Mhm.
just do that.
Mhm.
But the more we can do it, and the more we do it, the more we delve into it, the better prepared we're going to leave our family. You said you don't want
Yeah.
sad. Of course they're going to be sad. We all are. We're going to grieve when those
Yeah.
that matter to us die or or are injured or can't make their own decisions or go down the
Mhm.
path of dementia, but we're going to grieve. But if you have everything in order, then your family's allowed to just grieve. They don't have to
Mhm.
deal with all the minutia of end of life. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of minutia with it if people don't plan.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give people the opportunity to just grieve.
That's true. If that's all lined out, and I know that's what you focus on. So, you know, um, getting everything in order. And I know we should have a will, and we should have our medical directive and stuff like that. But do you work with people to help them easily put that together? I mean, what's the process? Again, this is what you do as a profession. So, how would you take my hand and
Well, first off,
guide me
I
through
would
this?
to go through and really think about what you would
Mhm.
want in different scenarios so that you can figure out making the decisions based on where you are now and what do you think is a good day for you? What is living well for you? What would be what you would want? Like, what is a good day? Would it be that you could go out and work in the yard, you can exercise, you can perform all your own activities of daily living, or would be a good day for you? Would you be okay being immobile but being able to still talk and interact with people? So
Mhm.
really thinking of what is a good acceptable day for you right now? And that's, I think that's, people think they have to think 20 years down the road, but really think in this next year, if anything happened to me, what would I want? What's a good day? What could I live with and not? If I was paralyzed from the neck down and couldn't function at all on my own, would that be okay as long as I can still communicate with my family? Some people would say yes, and others would say no. And everyone is entitled to their own decision. Years ago, many years ago, a friend of ours in South Carolina was in a terrible accident and he became paralyzed from the neck down. And I remember saying, oh my gosh, I think I would wish I had just died. And my husband said, I wouldn't. Are you kidding? And it shocked me a little bit. And he said, they have 2 young kids. And he said, if that happened to me, I would still want to be able to communicate. As long as I could communicate with my kids, I would want to be there to watch them grow up and to be part of their life. And so it made me look at it with a different perspective, that maybe that would be a good day for me if that I was in that position if my kids were young. So
yeah. And I think that's important. I think for all of us to realize that our our life circumstances are all different. We want to say we should fit into a box, but as you know, even like with food, none of us fit in a specific box, and our relationship with food, our relationship with ourselves, and our relationship with our life, and all of that. And so being able to be creative and look at things, and I guess, how would you help people, because this conversation could be pretty sad and depressing, I mean, we're talking about a pretty big
it's a heavy topic. Well, there's 2 things. I do have a course that I put on that we walk through, from making how to make the decisions to getting the documentation done. And we really focus more. I'm a big fan of getting your whole estate planning done, having your will done. But having that, we focus on the advanced directives, the living will, what you would want done, and then the power of attorney documents, because that having that person that can legally speak for you if you become unable to speak on your own behalf.
Right.
Because like I was sharing, that there's a hierarchy, that if you don't have that, and you say, let's say you have children and you have more than one, they all have to agree for the decisions to be made. So if they don't agree, that's where a lot of fractures in families can come from. So we talk about, different types of burials, how to have life celebrations, what legacy do you want to leave, forgiveness work. We do it all, but wrapping it up with a bow is how to talk to your families about this. So getting all of your decision making and documentation done, and then taking it to your family and sitting down and having a wonderful, sometimes emotional meeting, so that everyone can be on the same page. Because it's great if one person knows, but it's even better if everyone knows, so that everyone can be supportive and honor your choices at the end of it.
Yeah. And then something to ask too is, say you have created your documents and then something comes up that you've changed your mind on what you would like to do. How do people do that? I mean,
that's the editing of the story.
Change your mind.
We get to change our mind whenever we want, and we just rewrite. Well, you just redo your documents. One of the things that I encourage the clients that I work with to do is every year on their birthday, make it their birthday gift to themselves sometime in that month, not on their birthday, but you can do it on your birthday if you want. But in that birthday month, take a few hours and go through everything and think, is this really what I want still? Do I want CPR performed on me still? Because I'm 59. At 59, I would want CPR. I am relatively healthy. But if I'm 69 or 79 and I have debilitating health issues, I wouldn't want CPR. So to go through and say, okay, do I still want this? Is this person still the right choice to make my healthcare decisions? You should have a primary and a secondary, someone to step in case the primary healthcare agent, which is the power of attorney, can't. And then, just just look at everything. Do I still want that music played at my funeral, or have I decided I like something better? So it
Yeah.
goes through all the little details, because the more details you can give your family, the better it is. It's more of a roadmap for them to follow. And then, every year, just take a little meander down that roadmap of your life and see if it's still the route you want to take. I talked to someone, and her parents do their death binder weekend. They have a death binder, which is just all their documents. So they call it their death binder. And they plan a weekend away somewhere. And they get a big bottle of wine and do takeout. They sit in the hotel room on Friday night and they go through everything and they get it all hashed out. Is everything still as they want it? And then they spend the rest of the weekend living their life and having fun.
That's really neat. I think that's great. I love how you brought it up, bringing it up or looking at everything around your birthday, or you could pick, any time of year. But, we look at our, we're supposed to, review our finances, quarterly, or we want to make annual goals for our health or our career. So this just makes a lot of sense to maybe let's take the weight off of it and make it not so daunting, but it is something that we all will go through someday. And how can we I love the idea of making it a weekend and having it, and just say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. This is this and that. And I think the other part is sometimes I'm wondering if people, because one part for me was like, oh my gosh, once I have it done, oh, it's written in stone. It's not. We can change that. We can modify it, and
nothing's ever written in stone.
Yeah. So let's see here. You have a question. You gave me a really good one here, but doctor appointments can be very limited. Why is it important to share your wishes with your doctor?
People don't realize that doctors have a hard time with end of life with their patients, just families do. And to sit down and share what we want with our doctor, it gives them permission to treat us the way that we want to, because doctors were trained to save lives. They were trained to heal. They weren't trained to help people go out peacefully.
Yeah.
And at working on oncology, I saw it a lot with oncologists that they had a hard time letting go of patients. Is it a sense of failure, or that they couldn't save them? I don't know. But the more you can tell your doctor about what you want, the more that your doctor or healthcare provider, your nurse practitioner, your naturopath, they can help accompany you and honor your wishes on your journey. And a lot of people don't know this, especially the people over 65 that are on Medicare. Medicare, since 2016, has allowed people to make an appointment specifically to go over their advanced care planning with their physician, which is huge, because most of the time when you have 15 or 20 minutes to go in and talk about healthcare issues, and you're trying to squeeze in, okay, these are my wishes for end of life, there's really not enough time to talk about them. And so I would highly encourage anyone over the age of 65, if you're on Medicare, take advantage of that. That's a huge gift.
That is. And I think too, there's just so much information out there, and different organizations to get it from. It can be so daunting. That's why I think with someone like you could just, Maureen will take our hands and help us, do all this in actually a really, really incredible way. Because as I look through your question, things that you could answer on this today, but we're talking about insurance, we're talking about, just the conflict that can happen between our siblings or our family. I mean, there's so much, decisions to make. So,
and I don't think people realize that it costs money to die.
It does.
It costs money to die. And if you don't have plans, or you don't have a way to pay for it, that's where the GoFundMes are set up. And my hope is that there never has to be a GoFundMe, because the families in turmoil trying to pay for this funeral because you can't even get the bodies out of the morgue without. Isn't that terrible to think about? But
Yeah.
it's a big deal, and the more you can plan for that, the more
Yeah.
you can ease the trauma on your families, if you will.
Well, even these documents for people that maybe you think that these documents are for those that have a lot of assets, that have a lot of money to think about, but really, no, it's everybody. Everybody should have it. It doesn't matter your status in terms of wealth or finances. It's so important.
Yeah, at the end of life, we're all really just the same, aren't we? But
Yeah.
everybody needs to have someone that can speak on their behalf. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you are Bill Gates or,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everyone in between, because we all need to have someone that would know our wishes.
Yes. I think we have time for, I want to do one more. Um, and what are your thoughts in terms of, because fear can, again, fear and putting our heads in the sand. And this happens too. Those that, you don't want to go to the doctor because you don't want to know what the doctor's going to say, because you don't want to know if you have prediabetes, or,
Right.
you're putting your head in the sand. So you think I can just avoid it. Um, what, what should someone do instead, or how would you recommend helping somebody take that blanket off their head and to step forward into this, this world?
I always tell the people in my class or my courses that I teach, or the people that I've worked with one-on-one, take those documents, and you can get power of attorney documents.
Mm-hmm.
I have them to give people if they need them, advanced directives, but write your name down. That's the first step. Sometimes that's the hardest, is just
Oh,
writing your name on the document, and then take it from there.
yeah,
It really, it's that simple.
yeah,
Write your name down, and it'll just start coming. But
yeah,
it's hard to figure out what would I want in this scenario,
yeah.
or if this happens, how would I know what I would want? So
Mm-hmm.
the more conversations we can have about it, the easier
Great.
it becomes. So write your name down on the document, get the documents first, and then write your name down.
Yeah, and it could be even just it's something where, if just say I'm going to do that part, and then I'll read it maybe, and then I'll see what it needs to, what has questions it's going to need, and then you can let your subconscious work on it, but then also commit to maybe a deadline.
Yes.
Give yourself a deadline to finish it.
And that is the good thing about working in a community, to have a
Mhm.
deadline, to have accountability, to have a place to
Mhm.
ask questions and get answers. And
Mhm.
I think in my Facebook group, I don't think I've posted the advanced directives, but I
Mhm.
after this, I'll go in and post the advanced directives.
Okay.
But having that deadline, because like anything, we can write our names down and then never do anything else.
Right, and you get busy.
Piles get piled on top of it, and
There's always stuff to do, other things.
always more fun stuff to do than, let's see
Yeah.
what's gonna be like when I die. But
Yeah.
the more the clearer you are, and when you get these done, then you can go off and enjoy life, because you got your roadmap. I
Yeah.
have someone I know that she ended up having a medical procedure that had complications. Um, and
Mhm.
she said all that ran through her mind was, okay, everything's in order. If anything happens to me, my family knows what
Yeah.
to do. And as she was sort of in and out of consciousness, that's what she thought of, is that I have my game plan. They know what to do. They'll be okay because I've set everything up. And it was something that she never should have had complications from. And luckily she pulled through. But that's what's the peace of mind it gives you.
Yeah, because you think about it, it's stressful as it is to be in a situation like that as a patient.
Yeah.
But if you know that you've done the work, however hard it was or however difficult it was to get yourself to do it, that's one stress that you don't have to be laying there worrying about.
Right.
getting concerned about. And in those times, you really need to be focused on healing. You need to be focused on getting better and loving your family and things like that. So another great reason, just to know you've got it all in order. So I have put your website up here for everybody, radiantmorning.com, and your email. And then also, like I said, Maureen has a really wonderful Facebook group. You can just join and kind of start watching and get an idea of things. And it's a very positive environment. And then you offer classes, right? Online courses.
I have my next 5-week course starts on St. Patrick's Day, my favorite day of the year.
Yay!
And Irish on St. Patrick's Day. But it starts next, gosh, is that next Wednesday?
Where's my calendar?
Yes, the 17th tomorrow, a week from tomorrow. And we have, so it starts, you can find all the information on my events page on my website. But
on the website, okay.
Actually, I have a special addition to those that register by Friday night, the 12th, get Life Goes On Roadmap. Do you remember Life Goes On Roadmap from Nancy and Steve Judd?
Nancy, yeah.
It's a huge, robust system on just how to store everything and how to keep everything in a safe place so your family knows where it is. Just everything you can think of, doctor's numbers, passwords, your financial documents, everything. And so I think it's such a valuable tool that's my gift to people that sign up.
Oh, that's wonderful. So register for Maureen.
It's called With the End in Mind.
Called what?
With the End in Mind.
Okay. And get the darn it, I know Nancy's course.
Life Goes On Roadmap. Okay.
Register by St. Patty.
By March 12th.
Oh, register by March 12th.
11:59 p.m.
Register by March 12th. Fantastic. So that's, and, I highly recommend for everyone to do that. And again, like I said, everyone, I've known Maureen for some time. You're just incredible. You're compassionate. You know what you're talking about. And I would trust any of my referrals over to you.
Oh, you are so nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, our time is up. We've already been talking for 30 minutes. It's hard to believe. It's gone very fast.
It has gone fast. Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Oh, thank you for coming on. It's just such an important topic. And like I said, a lot of us and a lot of people don't want to have to talk about it. But, as I started following your group, you really inspired me to, again, be more open about it with my kids and let them know what I would like. And just also tell them I guess I have to say, even now, I've lived an incredible life, and so just the things I've learned from you already and how to freely, openly talk about things has helped immensely.
Well, I think that even our younger adult children, it opens up the conversation for them too.
Yeah.
So because things happen to people their age, and it's really great to open up the conversation with them. I know when my kids, they ended up having a lot to share, and they ended up having opinions about what would happen, what they would want if something happened to them.
Yeah. And to me, it's just so valuable for us to walk the journey and, step into it with open arms. So, all right. Well, thank you again, Maureen. Stay on. Don't go anywhere. I'll close down the live feed. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And do check out Maureen's Facebook group. Check out her website and her course. And let's just plan ahead and then do all of our bucket list items.
That's right. That's another.
Right? Okay. All right. I'll sign this off.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, everybody.